A rented S175 pushes gravel all morning, then won't back up. The panel scrolls one thing, 5045. Factory table, word for word. 5045 means rear reverse error, ON. That's the machine's entire statement. Forward still works, reverse is dead, and that split already tells you where not to look. This is the 50 family, and we're doing every one verbatim with the checks that isolate each. First, where they live. Codes appear in the hour meter and code display on the instrument panel. If more than one service code is present, they scroll. You watch them cycle, one after another. That scroll matters. People read the first code, chase it all day, and never see the second one. That same display also shows base or shut down when you page through it. Those aren't fault codes. Now the list quoted from the table, not paraphrased. Paraphrasing a code is how people buy wrong parts. 5042, rear PWM not calibrate. 5043, rear forward error, ON. 5044, rear forward error, off. 5045, rear reverse error, OM. 5046, rear reverse error, off. Then comes the two-speed pair. 5047, two-speed error, off. 5048, two-speed error, off. Read those last two one more time. On forward and reverse, the ON version comes first. On two-speed, the off version comes first. So don't build a rule in your head about what the trailing digits always mean. Look the number up. That's not me being careful for its own sake. Code systems differ between machine generations. A memorized shortcut follows you into the wrong manual and you'll trust it right up until it costs you. Back to the gravel pile on 5045, rear reverse error ON, because the order you check things decides your bill. Cheapest first, always. Start at the connector on the circuit the code actually names. Nothing fancy. Unplug it, look at the pins, look for green crust, look for one terminal pushed back. You know the lamp with the plug half out of the wall? You nudge it and the light comes back. That's a lot of these codes. The circuit isn't dead, it's intermittent, and the machine caught it once. Next cheapest, grounds. The manual flags this directly. Corroded or loose grounds cause problems. It says if you observe these symptoms, check grounds. That's factory instruction, not shop folklore. A bad ground doesn't fail politely. It throws codes pointing at circuits that were never the problem. Which is the real lesson? A 50 code names the circuit the controller was watching, not the part that failed. If that just changed how you read a code, that's exactly what this channel is for. Stick around. Third stop, the harness. Follow it where it flexes, where it crosses a frame edge, where it's been retied. Chafe never announces itself. You get a code at full travel and absolutely nothing on the bench. Which is why the wiggle test earns its keep. Key on, code display up, work the harness with your hand. If the code changes while you're holding one section, you just found the fault with your fingers. Then the expensive end, the solenoid or actuator on that circuit. And past that, the controller. Most people start at the expensive end. That's how a perfectly good part ends up in the scrap bin. Take 5043 and 5044, rear forward error ON, and rear forward error off. Same circuit, two complaints. They don't get chased the same way. One sends you hunting a signal that's there when it shouldn't be. The other sends you hunting one that's missing. The test steps split there, so follow your exact code. And both can appear in one shift. Forward faults before lunch, reverse faults after. Now you have a pattern. Two drive-side codes, both intermittent, is rarely two failures. It's usually one shared thing upstream. Shared means power and ground before parts. A tired battery or a lazy charging system fakes plenty of failures. The manual has a charging system checked for exactly that reason. When voltage sags, circuits misreport. Cheap to rule out, embarrassing to skip. Clean the posts, tighten the grounds, then read the codes again. Now the two-speed codes, which trip people up for a reason that has nothing to do with wiring. 5048 is two-speed error, ON. 5047 is two-speed error, off. Those are the factory words in that order. Two-speed is the drive range shift. When the machine faults it, the code says so plainly. Your first check isn't a meter, it's whether the loader actually behaves like it lost the shift. A code with no symptom and a symptom with no code are two different jobs. Sort out which one you have. If the shift is gone and the code is live, go to the connector on that circuit. Same order as before. Seat the connector, inspect the pins, check the ground, then test the coil against the manual spec. I'm not giving you a resistance number. The service manual lists the exact spec for this machine. A number borrowed off a different loader is how a good coil gets condemned. Don't work that way. Which brings us to the strangest code in the family, the one where nothing is actually broken. 5042, rear PWM not calibrate. Read it again. It doesn't say failed, it says not calibrated. PWM is how a controller meters a signal, not just on or off, but how much, thousands of times a second. For that to work, the controller needs a baseline, where neutral sits, where full sits, what normal looks like. Lose that reference and the machine isn't damaged. It just doesn't know its own numbers anymore. It's the recipe you've cooked 40 times, and tonight you can't remember if it's 1 teaspoon or 3. Everything's still in the kitchen. Nothing's broken. You still can't finish dinner. So 5042 usually isn't a parts problem, it's a procedure problem. The calibration has to be performed. And here's where honesty beats confidence. That's a factory procedure, not a parking lot fix. The manual is explicit that this work is done by authorized Bobcat service personnel with proper equipment. It also says to check for correct function after adjustments and repairs. That's the step everybody skips, because an adjustment that only half took feels fine in the yard and surprises you on a slope. So when does 5042 show up? Usually after something in that circuit got disturbed. A controller swapped, a connector opened, power lost mid-operation. The machine noticed its reference is gone, and it told you the cleanest way it can, not calibrated. That's a specific machine, not a dying one. Now the isolation trick that works across this whole family. Compare a circuit against its twin. Forward faults, but reverse is flawless, then shared power, shared ground, and shared controller just passed a test. You didn't measure anything, you let the working half of the machine do the measuring for you. Both halves faulting? Then it's the shared stuff, and you're back at grounds and battery voltage first. That one question, does the twin circuit still work, saves more time than any meter on your truck. One more thing about that scroll. Clear the codes, run the machine, and see which ones come back. A code that returns right away is live. One that doesn't is history, and history has cost people real money. You can spend a Saturday chasing a fault that fixed itself when a connector reseated 3 weeks ago. If your panel shows a 50 code that isn't in this list, don't force it into one of these. The factory table runs long. Look your exact number up verbatim and take the manual over anyone's memory. Sole 42 not calibrated. 43 and 44, rear forward. 45 and 46, rear reverse. 47 and 48, 2-speed. And the order never changes. Connector, ground, harness, voltage, then the part. Cheap to expensive, every time. The line worth keeping, the code names, the circuit the machine was watching, not the part that quit. The exact specs and test steps are in the service manual linked below. Start there before you order anything. Like this, if it saved you a guess, and subscribe for daily diagnostics. Next up, the 32 family, lift and tilt actuator codes. Grab the manual, start at the connector, and don't buy a part you haven't proven. See you tomorrow.